Hello everyone, I'm Lauren Robinson. I'm one of the staff and historians at the Ilion Free Public Library, and today I'm going to talk about how some of Ilion's historic churches got started and how they've developed up to the present time. Today I'm focusing on Ilion's Catholic churches. We're planning to post some other presentations as part of a series about Ilion's other historic churches and religious denominations soon, so stay tuned to the library's YouTube channel for those. The information in this presentation was gathered solely from our history collections at the Ilion Library, and if anyone has any questions or knows something more about any of Ilion's churches and wants to share with us, you can still contact us via email right now while we're closed to the public due to coronavirus. My email as well as the email address for the Ilion Library's history room are both shown on this slide. For this presentation, I'm going to focus specifically on the history behind the Catholic denomination and look at how Catholic religious practices blossomed in Ilion. I'll talk about the old Ave Maria Church first, which was the predecessor to Annunciation Church, and then look at how the church transitioned to their new building that we're all familiar with on West Street. I'll also talk a little bit about the development of the parish school, the convent, and the rectory, that are all sort of clustered around the church, along with the associated Catholic cemetery grounds that are located in a few different areas around the village. We'll start with a little bit of background information. So the Remington Arms Factory in Ilion, known for making its firearms, was established in 1816 and was originally called E. Remington and Sons. By the mid-1800s, when Catholic settlers began congregating in Ilion, Remington Arms was considered a well-established and growing business. So many of these settlers were drawn to Ilion by the potential of finding employment at E. Remington and Sons. Many of these settlers were either Irish Catholics who were fleeing Ireland and settling in New York following the Great Famine of 1846, or German Catholics fleeing political and religious unrest in Germany a little later in the 1850s. The sudden large influx of Catholic settlement in New York State helped prompt the creation of the Diocese of Albany, as well as a locally established Catholic mission in Little Falls. The Little Falls mission was started sometime in the late 1840s. It had a small clergy that would go around Ilion, Herkimer, Mohawk, and Frankfort, giving sermons in private residences or schoolhouses for small group gatherings. From what we can tell, the first Catholic Mass in Ilion was held in John Roche's home on 154 East Main Street. This was the beginning of the group that would later establish the Ave Maria Church in Ilion. As more Catholics kept settling in Ilion, Reverend William Howard officially became the first appointed pastor for Ilion's Catholic group. He helped further establish and grow the local mission and bought land for their first church building in North Ilion. It was located over on East Main Street near Orchard Street. When it was there, you would have passed it if you were leaving Ilion and driving towards Mohawk. Groundwork began for the church in April of 1868 and was finished later that year. The church was made of red brick and was mainly built by the parishioners who volunteered their labor. It was named the Ave Maria Church and it offered enough space for about 600 worshipers. When construction was finished, the church membership included about 200 families, so they had some growing room. Here's another view of the original church. We're not exactly sure when this photo was taken, but it was sometime before 1937, and I'll explain why that is a little later in this presentation. A few years later, in 1970, additional land was bought in North Ilion and turned into the St. Agnes Cemetery. Today, this area is actually considered part of West Herkimer and is located between Route 5 and the I-90 thruway. A vault was added to the cemetery later in 1875, and in 1878, Herkimer separated from the local mission as well. Father Howard also left Ilion at that time. He died shortly after and is actually buried in St. Agnes Cemetery. Frankfurt also separated from the local mission in 1886. Reverend John B. Quinn was the third pastor appointed to the Ave Maria Church. He was appointed in 1901 and focused on expanding the church further. He bought more land for the church in 1901 and 1903 in order to build a parish house near the church and a rectory on West Street. I think they changed their mind about the location of the parish house shortly after buying the land, though, because the parish house was later relocated to West Street as well. By 1909, Mohawk also separated from the mission, and Reverend James B. Galloon became the church's next pastor. He ended up growing the church's membership to over 3,000 members and oversaw the construction of the parish school. The School of the Annunciation officially opened on October 25, 1926, with 4 grade levels and 170 enrolled students. The Sisters of Mercy were assigned to Ilion to staff the school, and Sister Pius became the school's first principal. The sisters originally lived in a house called the Benison Estate in Ilion, and later moved into a larger convent that was constructed across the street from the school on West Street in 1961. This is a picture of the class of 1933 from the School of the Annunciation, with Father Galloon outside the front entrance of the parish school. The school was made of Indiana limestone and built in the Gothic style. After 70 years in the original Ave Maria Church, the congregation was outgrowing their building, so they began fundraising to build a new, bigger church. Groundbreaking and construction at the new West Street location began in 1937 and was overseen by Reverend Galloon and his successor, Reverend James Nolan. The cornerstone was laid on September 12th that year and officially dedicated on March 27, 1938. To mark the transition to the new building, a light that was kept burning in the old Ave Maria Church since its construction in 1886 was ceremonially extinguished. The Ave Maria Church building was later sold and turned into a car dealership after the steeple was removed. The new building was named Annunciation Church and was constructed out of Weymouth seam-faced granite and Indiana limestone to match the Gothic style of the school. Architecturally, it's interesting to note that while both buildings were done in the Gothic style, they do not have any buttresses, which is common in that style. The church also has an 11-foot diameter rose window, a 72-foot tower, and stone carvings of the 4 evangelists decorating it. In 1946, and again in 1960, more land on Beringer Road, Woodlawn Ave, and a plot out near Litchfield was bought as future cemetery expansion space. 3 more properties on West Street were also bought to create more parking space for the church and to build that larger convent for the Sisters of Mercy I mentioned on the last slide. In recent years, the Annunciation Church has undergone some major renovations, including new paint, flooring, a new porch, and the installation of a 500-pound marble altar. They celebrated their 100th anniversary in 1968 and replaced their organ with a digital one in 2012. They just recently marked their 150th anniversary in 2018. So those are some of the major highlights that we know about Ilion's Catholic history and churches based on what's in our collections. If anyone is looking for more information or details about the history behind the Ave Maria and Annunciation churches, you're welcome to visit our library's history room and access our collections when the library reopens. Before we go, I just want to thank everybody for listening, and I hope you'll look for more of our presentations that will be coming out soon. Stay healthy and safe while the coronavirus pandemic continues, and if anyone has any history-related questions in the meantime, Don't forget, you can still email us even though the library is temporarily closed. We look forward to hearing from you. Bye, everyone.